My family took me off my brother's wedding guest list, so I shut down the whole event. Tuesday morning, I was editing a commercial in my home studio when my phone rang. The woman on the line sounded tense. She said, "This is Renee from Perfect Day Planning. I'm calling about your brother Jared's wedding, and I need to tell you something difficult." I told her to go ahead. She said my family had called the day before, taken me off the guest list, and made it clear I was not welcome at the ceremony or reception. Then she added the part that made me freeze. My mother had also told her to keep the $50,000 deposit I'd paid for the wedding video package because the money had already been used for other costs. For a second, I just stared at my editing screen. My family had always treated me like the failure son who dropped out of film school and never got his life together. Jared was the safe one with the office job. I was the guy who played with cameras. Renee kept apologizing, but I asked her one question instead. "What's the name of the venue?" She said, "Riverside Manor downtown." I asked who owned it. I heard papers moving, then keys clicking. "Sunset Holdings LLC," she said. I asked about the caterer. "Same owner." "The florist?" "Same owner." "The photographer?" "Same owner." "The DJ?" "Same owner." "The car service?" "Same owner." "The hotel block?" "Same owner." Her voice changed right there. She said, "Wait, what is going on?" I told her Sunset Holdings was my company. For 8 months, I had been secretly paying for Jared's wedding through different LLCs because I knew my parents would never accept help from the son they looked down on. Every contract, every flower order, every tray of food, every room, every ride, all of it was mine. She went quiet, then said, "Are you telling me you own every vendor on this wedding?" I said, "Yes, and now I'm telling you to cancel everything." She thought I meant just the video package. I told her no. Cancel the venue, the catering, the flowers, the photos, the music, the transportation, and the hotel rooms. Cancel every service under every company I control. She reminded me the wedding was in 3 weeks, and there were 180 guests confirmed. I told her that sounded like a problem for the people who decided I was good enough to pay, but not good enough to attend. I told her to send both families an itemized bill before the end of the day, showing exactly what I had been covering. The $75,000 venue rental, the $45,000 catering package, the $15,000 flowers, the photos, the cars, the hotel block, everything. She was silent for a second, then said, "I'll start the cancellations now." When the call ended, I sat there listening to my computer's hum. Every family dinner flashed through my head. My father asking when I was getting a real job. My mother telling people Jared was the son they never had to worry about. None of them knew the camera hobby they mocked had turned into a production company worth more than $15 million. I work with major brands. I shoot national ads. I produce documentaries for big networks. But to them, I was still the son with gear in his garage and no future. My phone buzzed before I could stand up. It was a text from my mother. "Martin, we've decided you're not a positive influence right now. We've already used your contribution, so there is nothing to return. Do not contact Jared." I read it once and typed back, "Understood. Hope you find a venue by Saturday." 20 minutes later, my phone started blowing up. First my father, then my mother, then Jared, then my father again. I let it ring until the 5th call, then answered. He sounded breathless. He said 6 vendors had canceled. The planner was panicking, and there had to be some kind of mistake. I said, "No mistake. You signed contracts with companies owned by me." There was silence. Then he said, "That's impossible. You make little videos." I said, "Dad, I make award-winning documentaries. That series you bragged about last year without knowing I made it? Mine. This business you laughed at is the reason Jared had a ballroom, a chef, flowers, and luxury rides for his guests." He tried to cut in and said, "Martin, if this is about being emotional, we can work something out." That was the part that got me. Not even being uninvited. It was the way he said emotional, like I was some kid they could calm down until I paid again. I told him, "You uninvited me, kept my money, and figured I'd be too small to do anything about it. Now plan the wedding with your own budget." He went quiet for a second, then asked if I was really going to ruin my brother's wedding over one misunderstanding. I said, "No, Dad, you ruined it when you decided I was good enough to fund it but not good enough to show up." Right then, another call beeped in from Renee. I switched over. She said the ballroom had released the date, the caterer had pulled the menu, and the hotel block was being dropped within the hour. I told her to continue with the rest. Then I went back to my father and said, "Better start making calls fast. Now my family is calling me heartless for canceling it all. Was I wrong?"